As we get closer to the general election, Donald Trump is doing everything he can to basically rip a page from his old playbook on making Joe Biden appear as though he's some sort of a criminal, right? And so he's trying to get his attorney general to do an investigation into Joe Biden based on unfounded claims in the New York Post. And Barr is unwilling to do it, which means this conflict between them seems to be growing. So that means the White House is turning yet again.
Made some very big mistakes.
I asked for his resignation.
I'm disappointed in the Attorney General.
Yeah, that's right. That was a new and improved bumper for this segment. Thank you to our viewer, Nick Marzak, for really improving the music for that bumper. But let me get to the story and give you the details on what Trump is saying. So Trump is doing what he can to basically smear Joe Biden. And during a recent interview on Fox and Friends, he detailed what he's basically demanding William Barr to do. Take a look.
Will you be appointing a special prosecutor?
We've got to get the Attorney General to act. He's got to act, and he's got to act fast. He's got to appoint somebody. This is major corruption, and this has to be known about before the election. This has to be done early, so the Attorney General has to act.
So just to remind you all what he claims that Joe Biden did, Joe Biden was claiming that a prosecutor Trump is claiming that Joe Biden got a prosecutor who was investigating Burisma fired. And Burisma, of course, was the company that Hunter Biden was serving on the board of. But of course, as we've shared with you, we've given you the details. And by the way, Republicans have investigated this twice and they found no wrongdoing on behalf of the Bidens. The prosecutor who was allegedly investigating Burisma was corrupt himself and wasn't actually doing the investigation he was hired to do. The entire international community wanted him out. And Joe Biden's son working on that board, yeah, that looks bad. There's no question about it. That type of conflict of interest is a problem. But there was no criminality, no wrongdoing, even after Republicans investigated the matter. But it's just amazing, Cenk, because the Attorney General is not supposed to do Donald Trump's bidding. He's not supposed to carry out campaign strategies for Donald Trump, but that's exactly what Donald Trump is trying to get him to do.
So for people who don't follow politics that closely, they might think, why? The Attorney General is appointed by the president, he works for the president. No, the Attorney General in our system of government is independent. He's appointed by the president, but he's the top law enforcement official, so he cannot be guided by politics. Now, if you've been watching Bill Barr over the last couple of years, you're thinking, he seems pretty guided by politics. Well, that's certainly true, he is. And he ideologically believes that the executive branch should not be co-equal. The Constitution is inconvenient for him. He thinks the executive branch should be far superior to the legislative and judicial branches. That's why he's authoritarian by nature, but he's also taking many political actions. I can go over a list of at least a dozen things for you guys in covering for Donald Trump. But apparently he has a line. And the line is doing a sham investigation 2 weeks before the election on one of the candidates' sons, based on evidence from Rudy Giuliani, who has clearly lost his mind and has changed his story 3 times about this story already, and Steve Bannon, who was already arrested by his own Justice Department for fraud. So we have found the bottom of Bill Barr's barrel. So that's an accomplishment. And Trump is saying, no, I don't care that the Attorney General is supposed to be independent. I don't care that it's, in fact, I do care it's 2 weeks before an election. That's why I want you to create a news story where you arrest my opponent's son. But remember, Trump has already asked Bill Barr to also arrest Joe Biden. I'm not kidding, it's not hyperbole. You could look it up.
Yeah.
He has said on several occasions that his opponent should be indicted, and so should Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. So if Trump had his way, the Attorney General, which is supposed to be not a political position, would lock up Trump's political opponent, his son, his former opponent, and the former president 2 weeks before an election. And you wonder why we call him a fascist. That is also not hyperbole. That is what fascists do. They lock up their political opponents before an election. And then they tell you, remember, the vote doesn't count, which is something that Trump has said 5 times about mail-in ballots. A mail-in ballot he himself does in Florida and is going to do in this election. So he doesn't want to count the votes, and he thinks we should arrest his opponents. Gee, I wonder if he believes in America. No, he hates the idea of America, and he wants to be dictator. That is why you've got to vote him out, no matter what your political beliefs are, if you actually believe in this country.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, he literally said, he told campaign staffers that Joe Biden should be in jail. So you're right, Cenk. This is very similar to what we saw from Trump in the lead up to the 2016 election. Crooked Hillary was the narrative. That's what he relied on in order to win. One of the strategies he relied on in order to win. And so he's just trying to use the same playbook for this upcoming general election. And it is kind of incredible to see that William Barr does have some standards, even though it's, I mean, you're right, bottom of the barrel. Like you really had to get to the bottom of the barrel to find where William Barr's standards are.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why you're surprised that Barr has any standard at all. Remember, he is not stupid. He can read polls. He knows Donald Trump has an excellent chance of losing, and he wants to go back to being a consultant, basically, and a lobbyist. He does it through a law firm, and so he wants to go back to his law firm and make tons and tons of money banking off the fact that he was Attorney General of the United States. And he still has a toe inside the establishment, so he'll be able to do it. It's a guarantee. But if he were to arrest Hunter Biden right before an election based on no evidence at all, then even the establishment would say, I'm not sure you're welcome anymore, Bill Barr. And he might not make millions of dollars doing the normal corruption that he's looking forward to doing. And that's what explains his motivation. And if you're wondering, really, is there zero evidence? If you missed the show yesterday, the hilarious development in that so-called Hunter Biden story that Trump wants all the Bidens arrested for. Originally, they said that the laptop that has all the secret information was turned in by someone other than Hunter Biden. Then Giuliani switched it to, well, okay, fine, it was Hunter Biden. And then he changed the story to the store owner who got the laptop is blind. So he doesn't know who handed it in. I mean, so that's their evidence in this case. And Trump is actually outraged. And Fox and Friends is like, oh yeah, I can't believe they didn't arrest your opponent and his son based on that evidence. I mean, that'll definitely stand up in court. How'd you get the evidence? Well, I don't know, the guy's blind.
So ridiculous.
Absurd. I mean, look, people will not believe later. They'll have trouble understanding and believing how we got here, where we were this close to fascism. And if Trump wins, we won't be this close, we'll be over the top. No hyperbole. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.